U-18 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships. I'm Sean Thompson, and you are looking live at Sheet C at the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex in beautiful St. Andrews by the Sea, New Brunswick. We've got a women's championship pool game between Team Saskatchewan, the Skylar Ackerman rink from the Moose Jaw Ford Curling Club, and British Columbia, Jalen Cotter's rink from the Vernon, BC Curling Club. Just saw the first rock put well in the house by Team BC. I'm Sean Thompson. I'll be your commentator this evening for a game that will determine one of the four semifinalists in this year's competition. If you're just tuning in, or if you remember our format from last year, it's somewhat different this year, and it's different from other Curling Canada events we've had this season. We had the pool play. There were 14 teams in the girls section. The top four in each of the groups of 7 advanced to the championship pool, but instead of a crossover pool, a championship group and a seeding group. Instead, we're doing double knockout to the semifinals. The 8 teams are paired in crossovers. 2 wins gets a team to the semifinals. 2 losses puts them out of the competition. And both BC and Saskatchewan have 1 win under their belts. They're halfway to the medal round. The second shot for the Saskatchewan League, Samantha McLaren, Saskatchewan, playing the Yellowstones this evening. British Columbia will be playing the Redstones as Cassidy Swayze steps into the hack. It's a split house she's looking at for British Columbia, and Jalen Cotter wasting no time. Shortsy's second stone coming down the pike. An easy hit and stick that Saskatchewan will hope to replicate with second Chantel Hogue's first rock. Quick note of how Team Saskatchewan got here. They went through pool play with a 4-2 record. Not bad. It gave them third in Pool A. Good enough to get into the knockout round, where they pulled off a slight upset of Northern Ontario, the second place team in Pool B. That earns them their spot in this semifinal qualification game. Qualifying final, if you will. Caitlin McGilvery delivering her first for British Columbia. British Columbia came 4th in Pool A in pool play, a 3-3 record. BC only got in by virtue of having the head-to-head win over Prince Edward Island. The teams were tied at 3-3, but British Columbia had the win in pool play. They then pulled off the mother and father of all comebacks against Alberta, the top team from Pool B, earlier this afternoon. Let me lay out the scenario for you. In the first end, Alberta got 4 points with the hammer. Alberta then stole another 3 in the second end to take a 7-0 lead. British Columbia got a couple points back in 3, but Alberta took an 8-2 lead into the 4th end break of these 8-end games. Then BC went on a tear. 2 with the hammer in 5, 2 with the hammer in 6, 2 without the hammer in 6, another steal in 7, another steal in 8, and then a steal of 2 in the extra end to claim a 10-8 victory over Alberta in what has been the story of the day today. BC will just get a piece, not enough to take it out. Saskatchewan sitting 3. As we move on to Madison Johnson's first stone. Saskatchewan has last rock advantage in this game by virtue of that better round robin record. The teams actually met in round robin play. The very first draw of the event for both teams, Saskatchewan beating British Columbia 7-4. Madison Johnson's first throw. Again, the goal to get a fair bit of separation in the house. Samantha McLaren, Chantel Hogue guiding it beautifully, just back of the tee line from where I'm sitting. But a very evenly divided house that Jalen Cotter is going to get Caleb Bushy to throw into. Hard sweep there, trying to keep the line. They will get one and they will lose the shooter. Saskatchewan rather still sitting 3. And Skylar Ackerman making the call to put it top of the house. As I mentioned, both teams already have one of the 2 wins they need to qualify for the semifinals. The winner here will play next tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Atlantic. That's 11:30 Central Time, 9:30 Pacific. This draw is going to come a little deep. Just biting the back of the forefoot. As British Columbia prepares for their first skip stone. Jalen Cotter is the skip of this British Columbia team, and if you're thinking the name Cotter in British Columbia sounds familiar, it's because of a young fellow named Jim Cotter, who has won several provincial championships representing our westernmost province. He is both Jalen's father and the team coach. So he's down on the coaches' tables and benches this evening. First stone going for a double takeout. The signal is that the rock is outside. They do get a double hit. The shooter rolls just biting the house, and Saskatchewan still sitting 3 as Ackerman contemplates her first stone. At this point, the plan is still to divide the house. Put something on the center line, at tee or above it. Ackerman not looking to slide behind the tee line. Her first stone in the first end. The Saskatchewan champions out of the Moose Jaw Ford Curling Club. Gentle brushing from Hogan McLaren. Just trying to guide it into the paint. That's all. It's going to come a little deep. No? That's just about on the tee line. And Jalen Cotter is in the unenviable position of playing against 4 without the hammer. call is a hit. And I think she'd very much like to stay in the house if she can. Try to force Saskatchewan into making the kind of shot we haven't seen Saskatchewan try much of in this end, a hit. Cotter's second stone. Good heavy sweep. Keeping the line is vital. I'll get a piece, and what a roll. Just rolls a corner behind the closest British Columbia, the closest Saskatchewan rock, as I get my tongue out of knots. And it leaves not an easy hit to score here for Saskatchewan and Skylar Ackerman. Saskatchewan coached by Patrick Ackerman this week. There is the risk you hit your own, but that BC stone is the shot rock. Final stone and one, Team Saskatchewan. Hogue and McLaren are on it. Waved off. It's staying out there. Will it come back at all? Yes. They get the hit. A fortuitous jam onto the back, and it looks like, oh, it's at least two. They're taking a hard look at the third. Hard look indeed. Madison Johnson, Kayla Bushy. Tasked with this, they kick the rocks away. We'll let you know in a moment what the verdict is. In the meantime, a reminder, you are watching the 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships from the W.C. O'Neill Arena in St. Andrews, only on Bell Line TV 1. They're fixing the numbers to the scoreboard, and it is indeed three. Three for Team Saskatchewan in the first end. A big first end for Team Saskatchewan. Just a couple of other notes about the rules for this event. The games are 8 ends, just like in some of the other national championships, mixed doubles, seniors, and so on. The teams are on the clock here. They get 30 minutes of thinking time. Thinking time starts when the previous stone is stopped, and the clock comes off as soon as the rock touches the near tee line. Teams also have 2 one-minute timeouts. A good draw in, just biting the button on the tee for Samantha McLaren. Of course, this is not the only game underway in this draw. Ooh. Didn't touch the rock. Gripper came off. The rock wasn't burnt at all, wasn't touched by the falling sweeper. And the remaining sweeper will get it in for a corner guard. As I said, this isn't the only game underway this draw. We have a full slate of 4 games underway here in the Ladies Championship pool. Sheet B rather, is a must-win game for the teams involved. And it is Alberta getting out to the early lead, taking one with a hammer against Northern Ontario. Sheet D is another qualifying match. New Brunswick and Ontario, and the host province, Erica Clough's rink out of Woodstock, taking a single point without the hammer in the first end. They're taking on the Ontario team, Madeline Warner from Listowel. And on CD, another elimination game. Nova Scotia taking a single point in the first against Quebec. 1-0 lead early there. Saskatchewan trying to force play into the house. British Columbia not taking the bait yet. Cassidy Schwartzy just stacking the corner guards. Skylar Ackerman feels content, asking Chantel Hogue to guard the 2 rocks in the rings. Her first stone this end. Way it's close, it does need to curl. And see it tracking over. And they will get the stones about half covered. A very vocal Saskatchewan contingent in the crowd, resplendent in green and gold. They also come with duck calls, train whistles, and so much more. And Jalen Cotter calling the first of her 2 timeouts. Can't say I blame her at this early juncture. Saskatchewan with a pair of mostly protected stones in the rings and up 3 points already. It's easy to forget with the standard of play we've seen this week that these are still young teams. None of the players you see here this week are out of high school. Some of them aren't even in high school yet. Jim Cotter, the experienced skip, laying out the situation for his troops. We break from the timeout. And Jalen Cotter has decided on a draw. By the looks of things, try to get something in and amongst those 2 yellow in the house. Maybe get some movement on the one biting the button. Caitlin McGilvery, her first shot of the second end. Gentle brushing from Bushy and Schwartzy. They'll wreck on the guard and raise it into the house, partially behind cover. Saskatchewan now has 3 rocks in the house. And another guard the call. Chantel Hogue in the hack. You can tell the sweeper saying right away it's a bit heavy. They're backed right off of it. All about the line at this point. It's on the center line, full 12 foot. Jalen Cotter feeling the need to get some prairie granite out of there. This is McGilvery's second shot. Heavy sweeping from Cassidy Schweitze. And they'll wreck on their own. Ackerman wasting no time asking for another guard. The Saskatchewan rink had little trouble getting the upper hand on Northern Ontario in their 8-4 victory earlier today. And they're looking to apply the screws to British Columbia early. A hard sweep for Wade from Hogue and McLaren. Over and done almost. They'll just get it across the center line. Not a bad placement for Saskatchewan. And Jalen Cotter with an awful lot to consider. The play is a hit and roll. They're throwing towards the outside of the sheet here, from the center out. It may have more curl than usual. Kayla Bushy. Will get the hit, but roll out of the house. Saskatchewan still sitting 3. And I can only think that Ackerman will be content to guard things up at this point. No reason to make things easier for BC at this point. And indeed, the call is a guard roughly on the 4-foot line, I would think. Madison Johnson, her first for Team Saskatchewan in the second end. Sweeper's not touching it. It's all there on its own. Now they're going for line. You don't want to hit that top center line guard, but they are just going to biff it. There is a hole there, but I don't know if it's big enough to be useful for British Columbia. I don't think it is. Jalen Cotter indicating a cold draw to the button. She'll worry about the rest later. Kayla Bushy in the hack. No, it's a peel. Trying to get rid of one of those guards. No trouble there. Saskatchewan still sitting 3, though. As Skylar Ackerman heads down the ice, her body language is that of a confident skip. One in firm control of this young qualifying quarterfinal. Her job to make BC's life, Jalen Cotter's next 2 shots, as difficult as possible. And here's that first attempt. You'll notice not a brush put down at this point. Not a brush needed at this point. There we go, just a little clean. It'll settle on the center line. And Jalen Cotter is in a world of trouble. BC only has 2 rocks left in the end. They're going to make a play on that center guard just put up by Saskatchewan. The risk here, you don't want to run it straight back into the pile and leave your own stone sitting there as a guard. Jalen Cotter's first stone and 2. It is a heater from Team BC. Sweepers on it. They're going to get the hit. And they're going to kill 3 Saskatchewan stones, 2 Saskatchewan stones. Just get Team New Brunswick out of my field division. Saskatchewan still sitting the 2. And to Saskatchewan's advantage, there is a fair amount of granite in front of the house. Call is a guard, but if it's a little deep and comes into the house, that will be no skin off Saskatchewan's nose. Skylar Ackerman from Moose Jaw. Her second skip stone in the second end. Chantel Hogue, Samantha McLaren not touching it. Not in need of a touch. Is it too deep? No. And the duck calls come out. All Cotter has is a wide draw. This will probably have to put some movement on the Saskatchewan shot stone. Otherwise, the Prairie rink steals. Jalen Cotter with the final stone in end number 2. Brushes go on. Swayze and McGilvray working it hard. Gotta get it at least to the 4-foot, girls. Gotta get it to the 4-foot. Gotta get it by the guard. Gotta keep going. Keep going, girls. Oh, baby, what a shot. Right on the button. And BC, out of nothing, somehow gets a point on the board. A beautiful and cool draw from Jalen Cotter. Saskatchewan is still up 3-1, but Cotter has to be feeling a lot better about herself after that rock. You're watching the 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships live on Bellline TV 1. Taking you around the other games right now. Sheet B, as I mentioned, the elimination game. Billet Crozier's Northern Ontario rink from the Idlewild Golf and Curling Club in Sudbury took 2 in the second end. Northern Ontario leading Alberta in that one 2-1. Alberta back with a hammer, represented by Riley Backer from the Calgary Curling Club. On sheet D, New Brunswick got a steal of 2 in the second end. Erica Clough from the Woodstock Golf and Country Club jumping out to a 3-0 lead on Team Ontario. Liz Tolles, Madeline Warner. And on sheet E, another elimination game. Quebec, Anne-Catherine Parent from the Kenogami Curling Club in Jonquière took a 2 spot in the second end. They lead Team Nova Scotia 2-1. Nova Scotia represented by Isabelle Ledessure from the Lakeshore Curling Club in Lower Sackville. Back in our feature game, Saskatchewan back with the hammer and a 3-1 lead after a brilliantly cool shot from Jalen Cotter with the last rock in the second end. Cassidy Schweitze in the hack now. She'll slide out with her second stone in the end. We saw in the rink BC having trouble getting into a rhythm early in their game against Alberta. But when they hit their rhythm, my goodness, what an effort. From 7-0 and 8-2 down to 10-8 extra end victors. 4 straight stolen ends gave British Columbia the win. And a cool come around that was Saskatchewan, Samantha McLaren, second lead stone. Again, looking to put it in the paint here. Get it by the top red. Just nick off the second. Roll right above their own on the fringe of the forefoot. It is Saskatchewan sitting 2. They are lined up for a possible Caitlin McGilvery double. That's the call for Team BC. Now the sweepers are getting on it. They will get one and roll behind their own. Not a bad result, and it's now BC sitting. And Saskatchewan looking to do some house cleaning. Samantha McLaren throwing her first stone. Sorry, Chantel Hogue is the Saskatchewan second. This is her first stone. McLaren on the brooms with Madison Johnson. They're on it late, just trying to get one of those rocks out of there. They get the shot stone out, and they move second shot, well, into shot position. The object stone rolling, just biting the forefoot. BC looking to split the house with another one behind their corner guards. This is McGilvery's second. A steady sweep from Kayla Bushy and Cassidy Schwartzy. It's deep. Ackerman will sweep it out of the house. Missed opportunity there for BC, perhaps. It is an open hit for Saskatchewan, but there is the risk of the jam. Chantel Hogue second. Sweepers are on it straight away. Johnson and McLaren. Solid brush. They want to hit the inside of this, and they get it. Roll behind tee to the other side of center. Saskatchewan sitting 2. And this song is starting to become familiar for British Columbia. Kayla Bushy. Her first stone for British Columbia. Sweepers coming off. Looking just to nurdle it in there. Nurdle it onto the button. And you know, I think they've done it. British Columbia is on the button, sitting 1. And Saskatchewan's getting ready to peel some potatoes. Madison Johnson's first. Saskatchewan, don't forget, with the hammer in 3. Heavy sweep. Peel made. BC, by the looks of things, still sitting 1. It is a very close run thing there on the button. Jalen Cotter looking to take no chances. Just a quiet tap of their stone top of the button. Gilvery and Schweitze off and on. Need to be tea, girls. Need to be tea. Little heavier ain't bad. Little heavier ain't bad. Little light. It's still that close run thing on the button. I think from the angles I've looked at, British Columbia's shot, but it is really very close indeed. And if they remain locked together like that, I would not be surprised if they measure. Saskatchewan just trying to take off that top stone. They'll move everything. They unlock the button. BC still sitting 1. But Saskatchewan now with more room to play with. Cotter contemplating her options. There's a hit and roll possibility. From my angle, it looks like Saskatchewan is both second and third shot. And they do have the hammer. If you try and knock on that top yellow stone in the 8-foot there, the risk you have is that you run it back to your own in the 4-foot. And then you have really set up a tasty dish for Saskatchewan. The hit is what they're trying. Cotter made a couple of beautiful shots in the second, hoping to capture the magic again in the third. This is her first stone. Schweitze and McGilvery ready to sweep. Kayla Bushy holding the broom, and they're sweeping hard. They want to keep this on the inside. They have to keep it on the inside. They are not going to keep it on the inside. But they got very fortunate there. They did not move their own very much. They are still shot rock. But Saskatchewan are still very much second and third shot. Not a great shot from Jalen Cotter. The saving grace is that their own shot stone ran behind cover, which leaves Skylar Ackerman with a tricky run back here. Anytime you have to move multiple stones to get a takeout, it is a tricky thing. The more moving pieces a shot has, the more difficult it is. But even if you just remove that top yellow, Ackerman with her first stone in 3, it will work out to be a net benefit for the Saskatchewan 4. Hard sweeping here. Do they have the angle? Yes! And Saskatchewan is sitting 3. How many times have we said that this evening in this still young game? We're only in the third end. Cotter is contemplating her options. The fact that the shot stone for Saskatchewan is in front of the tee line is not to BC's advantage. They are contemplating some sort of tap by the looks of things. If they can wrap this around and get a quiet tap on the outside and roll, they may be able to catch some of their momentum off that second shot stone behind cover. There is a risk they'd be exposed, though, for Ackerman's final stone. Jalen Cotter preparing for her second skip stone in 3. Sweeper's not touching it. Schweitze now trying to coax it to move. Needed to move. It gets a piece. Rolls over to the right-hand side of the sheet from where I'm standing. BC is sitting 1. And Saskatchewan is contemplating their options. The draw is the safe shot. There is a takeout potentially for 3. And I think that's what Ackerman's going with. We'll find out very soon. At any rate. Skylar Ackerman stepping in and lining up. The final shot in the third end. Team Saskatchewan going for the cold draw, and the sweepers are on it right away. McLaren and Hogue. McLaren and Hogue on it all the way. They're looking for T. They have to get T. Got to get T, girls. Keep going. Keep going. Are you there, girls? Doesn't look like it. And it is very close indeed. They talk about it, they kick the stones away. I'm not sure who scored, though I am certain it couldn't have been more than one. We'll let you know as soon as we know. It is Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan gets a single point in the third end. They extend their lead to 4-1. They get two. My goodness, they got 2 points out of that. Saskatchewan with a 5-1 lead through 3 ends. This is the 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships from St. Andrews. Only on Bell Line TV 1. Once again, we go around the horn. The elimination game on Sheet B, Alberta taking another 2 points with the hammer. They get out to a 3-2 lead on Northern Ontario, playing 4. It is a qualifying game for the semifinal on Sheet D. Ontario blinked the third end. They have yet to get on the board. New Brunswick with a 3-0 lead early on. And over on Sheet E, another elimination game. A single point for Team Nova Scotia evens things up. Nova Scotia and Quebec tied at 2. Quebec with a hammer in the fourth. Back in our feature game, Saskatchewan, out of all that mess back there, came away with 2 points on a struggling draw. Now as we get involved in the fourth end in earnest, Saskatchewan again content to put rocks in the house early on. This is Samantha McLaren's second stone. Chantel Hogue, Madison Johnson standing by sweep. Both are going at it. It is diving quickly. They're trying to tuck one behind the BC corner. Brooms are off now. And tuck it will. Just behind T-line. So not a perfect shot. It leaves BC with the chance to draw in and sit on it. A corner freeze might give BC shot stone. Second shot from Cassidy Schweitze. Sweeper's right off now. It's there the rest of its way on its own. It needs to bend though. Won't curl enough. It will sit second shot, but it is mostly open. And Saskatchewan is going to go for it. Chantel Hogue delivering her first rock of the fourth. Calling on the sweeping. Johnson and McLaren going at it hard. Gotta keep it clear of the guard. They will. They'll get the hit and a little roll to center. Very nice indeed. Saskatchewan sitting 3 all over the house. BC will try for another corner freeze. Caitlin McGilvery in the hack. She had some good shots in the last end. These touch freezes corner freezes, they're the kind of shots you do need to trust your sweepers on. Trust your sweepers and trust the line. This one, though, a bit light. We'll just get into the top of the 12-foot. Saskatchewan still sitting 3. Center line, top of 12, the call. Chantel Hogue. This one is way up. The weight is... That's a trap you can get into, overcompensating. It's starting to come down now, though. The weight's starting to come off, and the rock is really starting to slow. Looking for a piece of the 12. They'll just get a nibble. It's not a counter, but it is a guard. And it just about takes away a possible double takeout on the stone back of the 8-foot. Saskatchewan still sitting 3. Jalen Cotter still wants a British Columbia stone in behind cover. Some debate, though, back there with Caitlin McGilvray. Shot changed slightly. This is going to be a draw. Draw to the button. Shortsy, Bushy, need to go. It's going to come up far too light. Another guard for Saskatchewan inadvertently. And the Ackerman rink out of Moose Jaw. If they're feeling joy at the situation, they aren't showing it. This is another draw, again going for the top of the 12-foot. They'd like this to count, I think, 4th shot if they can get away with it. Even a guard will do. Plug the hole. Little wick, and that plugs the hole just nicely. Saskatchewan is sitting 3 with Kayla Bushy standing in the hack, getting ready to deliver her first, and Cotter just looking to open things up a little bit. Sweeper's not touching it. Does it have the line? Does it have the line? Oh. Not really. She'll spin the guard into the house, lose her shooter. Saskatchewan now sitting 4. Ackerman asking for another guard. Really can't blame her here. And a timeout signaled for by Saskatchewan coach Patrick Ackerman, picked up by his team, and they'll get the minute. This is Saskatchewan's first timeout of the game. Each team gets 2 one-minute timeouts. I think taking a timeout here is perhaps telling a bit the maturity of the Saskatchewan team. You don't have the hammer. You don't necessarily have to score here up 5-1. But you want to make scoring and scoring multiple points as difficult as possible for British Columbia. The teams break. And it looks like the call is for centerline guard. A very aggressive move by Saskatchewan. They can feel a steal in the air. Sweeper's not touching it. Hogan McLaren backing right off. Now they're on it. To keep the line more than anything, you want to straddle that center line. Want to straddle that center line. Oh my, and cool as you like. If you're a British Columbia fan, you might be able to feel the claustrophobia. The paths to score are narrowing for British Columbia. And the situation down 5-1 doesn't exactly lend itself to a feeling of wide open space. Bushy trying a cold draw through the port. There is still a port there, narrow as it is. They'll sneak through. This could be good. Back of the button. A beautiful shot in the clutch by Kayla Bushy. If there is a flaw to that shot, it is mostly open. It is partly open, I should say. But it is in a very difficult spot for Saskatchewan. They're going to start playing on their own at the top of the house. See if they can get any good movement going. This is Skylar Ackerman's first stone. We've seen her do well with the weight. Let's see if she can do it again. Hard sweeping, trying to keep the line. Definitely shakes things up around the house. BC still sitting one, and Saskatchewan is just left with one rock above the tee line. BC left with some hard thought. They are down 4. I think the important thing is to score 2 points, not necessarily to score 3 at this point. The shot call, I believe, is a guard. Good measure with another Ackerman throw to come. Jalen Cotter for British Columbia with her first stone of this 4th end. Brush for line from McGillivray and Schweitze. It is British Columbia that want to be on the center line here. They're going to take it into the house, into the 8-foot, grab a bite of... They might just have a bite of the 4-foot. I think it is BC sitting 2. And Ackerman will try to draw towards the button. Maybe try to nurdle Shotstone off. And leave Cotter with another difficult last rock. Ring quieting somewhat for Skylar Ackerman's last stone. This is a cold draw to the button. Sweepers are looking for T-line. They're getting harder now. McLaren and Hogue are getting harder. They need T. And they are just about going to get T. A beautiful draw by Skylar Ackerman. Almost a carbon copy of that beautiful draw we saw Jalen Cotter make last rock in 2. And now Cotter is in a tough situation. She's lucky in that it wasn't a perfect freeze. There's about, I'd say, 2 to 3 inches separation between the shot Saskatchewan stone and the BC stone back of the button. Remember, Saskatchewan yellow, BC red. There is some room to try to pick it off the button. They're making a team conference out of this. BC just coming up on 15 minutes worth of thinking time. They still have one of their timeouts left. And they're going to call it. BC calling their second and final timeout. Coach Jim Cotter coming out to discuss with his girls what to do here. The angles are tricky. You can just about get at the inside corner of the shot stone and try to spill it away. I don't know if you can do it with enough weight to get 3, though. BC breaks from their timeout. They are going to try the hit. We've seen several times today Jalen Cotter come up aces in a sea of deuces and sixes. She's looking for a pinprick here. Sweepers are on, and McGillivray and Schweitze. They're trying to hold the line. They're trying, darn it. They get movement. Will they? Yeah, I think they've got their deuce. I think they have their deuce. Jalen Cotter has had a phenomenal Friday of curling here in St. Andrews. A pinpoint pick hit for 2. Saskatchewan is still up 5-3. But you start to wonder if momentum is starting to shift BC's way. We'll find out more after the 5th end break. And as the curlers break, so shall we. Through 4 ends, rather. It's 5-3 Saskatchewan leads British Columbia. This is the 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships, live on Bellline TV 1. Welcome back, curling fans. You are looking live at the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex in beautiful St. Andrews by the Sea, New Brunswick. Sean Thompson back with you. Our feature game is a semi-final qualifier here in the championship round of the 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships. On the women's side, Saskatchewan with a 5-3 lead on British Columbia, just starting the fifth end. As usual, at the start of ends, we go around the horn, tell you what has been happening on the other sheets. End 4 on sheet B, it was a blank end between Northern Ontario and Alberta. Alberta retained a 3-2 lead. And Alberta took a steal of 3 against Northern Ontario. In the fifth end, they just posted that. Alberta with a 6-2 lead on Northern Ontario through 5 ends. The winner of that game has a final chance to qualify for the semis tomorrow morning. The loser is out. On sheet D, another qualifying match. Ontario got their first point of the game in the fourth end against New Brunswick. They still trail the host province 3-1. New Brunswick with the hammer in 5. And in the evening's other elimination game on sheet E, just squinting at the scoreboard so it makes sense, it was 1 point for Quebec in the fourth end. The team from La Belle Province holding a 3-2 lead on New Brunswick. On Nova Scotia, rather, playing the fifth end. And I think an entire day of commentary is just about starting to catch up. Now that you're caught up on the action, we go back to our feature game on sheet C. Winner of this one going straight through to the semifinals. Saskatchewan with the hammer playing the Yellowstones in 5. And a good hit and roll there. BC, this is Caitlin McGilvery's first shot. She's the second on the BC team. The Jalen Cutter rink out of Vernon, British Columbia. Two center-ish guards in play, trying to make the play behind. A good heavy sweep from Cassidy Schweitze and Kayla Bushy. They will just wick off their own. They'll spill into the rings. Still not the ideal situation as Saskatchewan gets in the mind to start peeling some rocks. As I mentioned earlier, the 8 teams who play in the qualifying round, play in the championship round rather, are in a new format this year to qualify the 4 teams to the semifinals. The 8 teams will play 2 or 3 games. You win 2 games, you're in the semifinals. You lose 2, you're done. They did just get a little wick, but I don't think Saskatchewan cleared much up there. So BC content to set up another guard. Both Saskatchewan and BC already have one championship pool win. The winner of this one will go straight through to tomorrow afternoon's semifinals. Game time for that, 1:30 Atlantic Daylight. The loser will get a final chance to make the semifinals in a game tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Atlantic. They'll be facing the winner, I believe, of the Nova Scotia-Quebec game over on Sheet E. Chantel Hogue for Saskatchewan. Trying to get rid of some rocks and gets rid of one BC stone, rolls the other one behind her own cover. BC still sitting the one. Kayla Bushy in the hack now. Just trying to get something in the paint behind cover. Caitlin McGilvery, Cassidy Schwazy. Looking at it's heavy. Ackerman coming out to sweep it. Will it stick around? Just stays in play, that BC stone. The West Coasters sitting two. Madison Johnson. Told to get rid of a red rock or two. Sweeper's not touching this though. Hogue and McLaren are right off. And they just about get the peel. The front of the house is more open than ever, but BC still has two red counters in the paint. Bushy's second stone. And just trying to clog up the front. They're trying to guard their one on the back, I believe. If they touch the paint, all the better. McGilvery and Schwaitzy. Hard on the sweep. Cotter joining in. And they'll get it. Ooh, that is very close to the rings. BC sitting at least two still. Saskatchewan looking to get by all that. Madison Johnson asked to draw in. Second mate stone for Saskatchewan. It looks good so far. They do have a little backing if it is heavy, but it needs to move a fair deal. Cotter coming out to sweep. Cotter will brush it into her own. It looks to me like Saskatchewan's sitting shot, but it is at the back of the 12-foot. Cotter will just try to follow it down. All the better if she can hide behind her own. But Jaylyn Carter just wants this well in the house. Wider red paint here. First skip stone for BC and number 5. Brushing from McGilvery. Coming off. They need the rock to dig. Dig in, curl, slow. Saskatchewan will sweep it onto the pile and back. BC sitting one now. And Skylar Ackerman from the Moose Jaw Ford Curling Club calling for herself. Another draw right in front of that pile would be wonderful. Behind cover and in front of the tee line would be perfect. Regardless of anything else at this point, shot stone is a must. At least that's the attitude, and this Saskatchewan team has tended to deliver on that attitude. Gentle brush from Chantel Hogue and Samantha McLaren. This rock needs to traipse over to the center a long way. Starting to move. Cotter coming out to sweep, starting to move. And it will come to rest in the pile. Just looking at the clock for BC, you wonder if in the last few ends that clock will become a factor. British Columbia nearing 12 minutes of thinking time, and they've used both their timeouts. Jalen Cotter has really kept the BC rink in the game. This is her final stone of the end. Just trying to add another one to the pile, trying to force Saskatchewan to take a single. Good brush by Schweitze and McGilvray. They're looking to get onto that pile. They're looking, but they're going to be... They're not on the pile, but they're on the button. Will that go down as another fantastic clutch shot by Jalen Cotter? Well, the stone is on the button. It doesn't have any immediate backing. It's about, as you can see, 2 to 3 feet ahead of the next closest stone. Skylar Ackerman just looking to move this shot stone off the button, hopefully out of play. Make it perfect. It is a shot for 2. Even if you get 1, it's not the end of the world. Final stone in end number 5. Skylar Ackerman for Team Saskatchewan. Hogan McLaren, get on it. You got to make sure you're by the top guard, and I think you are. Then you got to make sure you don't hammer it straight back. And you do, and you roll, and you get your 2. And you get the duck calls out, and you get Saskatchewan taking a 7-3 lead into the 6th end. You're watching the 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships live from St. Andrews, New Brunswick on Bellline TV1. And as we often do at this time, we go around the horn again. The 6th end on sheet B, the elimination game. A blank end. So Alberta will retain their 6-2 advantage on Northern Ontario as they begin the 7th. A very quick game taking place on sheet B there. Sheet D, it's the qualifying match. New Brunswick took 1 with a hammer in the 5th end. to extend their lead on Ontario to 4-1. 4-1, New Brunswick leading Ontario's spot in the semifinals on the line. Survival on the line in Sheet E. It's an elimination game, and Nova Scotia helped their cause immensely with a big score of 4 in the 5th end. Nova Scotia now leading Quebec by a score of 6-3. Back in our feature game, it is 7-3, Saskatchewan leading British Columbia. In this game, like on Sheet D, a semifinal spot is on the line. The winner of this game will go on to the semifinals directly. The loser will play in one more championship pool match, a must-win against the winner of the Nova Scotia-Quebec game. Likewise, the loser of the other qualifying game, New Brunswick and Ontario, will play the winner of Northern Ontario and Alberta. That game on this sheet, Sheet C, will be our feature game tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Atlantic Daylight Time. If you're in the Eastern Time Zone, 8 a.m. If you're in the Pacific Time Zone, good on you if you can get up for 5 a.m. Saskatchewan content to take play well into the house. Quick nick and a run onto the tee line. There is a possible double there for Team BC. But it looks like Jalen Cotter is going to ask Cassidy Schweitze maybe to just sit on it. They're doing some talking about it. Second lead stone for Team BC. I mentioned the time situation earlier. I'll give you a more complete update once this stone comes to a stop. Looking for just a guard at this point. British Columbia down 4, trying to remain aggressive, trying to build an end with the hammer here in 6. They still have time. At this point in their last game, BC were 4 points down. They came back to win in an extra end. Their opponents, Alberta, didn't even put another end on the scoreboard. The time situation is we have the second stone for Saskatchewan. Sorry, the first second stone for Saskatchewan. I'm getting myself confused. The time situation, Saskatchewan has 12 minutes 16 left on the clock for the better part of 3 ends. As this comes to a stop on the button, there are 21 rocks remaining for Saskatchewan. BC has 22 rocks remaining. Their clock has started. They're on 11 minutes 10 seconds. BC has used both their timeouts. Saskatchewan still has one in the bag. With a rock on the pin, BC feels they have to do something. They do have the center guard. And Caitlin McGilvray asked to come on in. Schweitze and Kayla Bushy ready with the brooms. The rock hasn't needed it so far. Step 1, get through the port. They've done that. Step 2, get some movement on the shot stone. They do. And BC is now sitting one on the button. Right on top the button. And the BC contingent is whooping it up. Come back to Chantel Hogue for Saskatchewan. Her second stone. Trying to peel off that center guard. They're going to make contact right on the nose, and they take their own out too. Not a great hit by Chantel Hogue. BC still sits one, and even worse for Saskatchewan, better for BC. That Saskatchewan shooter stays up top, functioning as a kind of guard. BC is sitting first and fourth shot at this point. Second and third are Saskatchewan. Some team discussion between Kayla Bushy, the vice, and Jalen Cotter. They're going to settle on coming through the port. It's amazing the kind of discussion you can have from opposite ends of the ice using the language of the broom. Letting it curl. Now they're trying to dig deep. They're trying to drag it as far as they can. Need a piece of the button. They're going to get a bite of the forefoot. BC is still sitting just the one, it looks like. But they now have third shot as Saskatchewan looking to pick off their own guard. BC at 10 minutes left. No movement to sweep from the Brushers. They're going to get the doink. Their shooter stays as a guard, but it's off center line. And at this point for Saskatchewan, that is the important thing. BC still sitting one. Cotter looks very interesting at trying to put another rock around the button. This is Kayla Bushy delivering her first stone. Bushy has not had her best game, but she has had a few fine shots in the clutch, particularly a cold draw in the third end and a good shot in the fourth. This will come to rest right on second shot. I think Saskatchewan is still second shot stone, but it is very hard to tell around that forefoot area. A close run thing indeed, as Madison Johnson, and the signal comes for a timeout and they take it. Saskatchewan, Patrick Ackerman coming to discuss the situation with his team. This is Saskatchewan's final timeout. Both teams now out of timeouts for the regulation 8 ends. Time not as much a worry for for Saskatchewan, rather. They have 11 minutes 13 left on the clock, and by my count 19 stones to throw. BC has 19 stones to throw. They have 9 minutes 38. As I said, things are very tight in that forefoot area. The only rock on the button is British Columbia. They are shot stone unquestionably. The question is, which of those rocks to the 9 o'clock side, the left-hand side, which of those rocks is second shot? I think it's Saskatchewan. But again, I don't have the best angle. Saskatchewan deciding to move some granite, at least try to punch that BC shot stone off the button. This is Madison Johnson's second. Remember, BC has the hammer in the sixth end, playing the red stones. Saskatchewan up 4, playing yellow. Hard sweep from Chantel Hogue and Samantha McLaren. Hard sweep indeed. They'll make contact. They move stones off the button. Move a couple of rocks off the forefoot. Not out of play necessarily. I thought it was yellow that was shot before. I am really not sure now. If you had to press me, I'd guess Saskatchewan was shot, BC second and third. And I think that's what BC is going for here too. Trying some sort of run back. But they're too wide, run into their own. And it is still very close. It does appear to be Saskatchewan sitting 1, BC sitting 2 and 3. And 4 if it comes to that. Skylar Ackerman and Madison Johnson having a good long discussion before Ackerman's first. They're settling on a guard. If you're playing the scoreboard, this is a very sound option. Right now you do have the 1 yellow stone counting if you're Saskatchewan. You know that's no guarantee that you'll score because you've seen Jalen Cotter's draws this evening. At the same time, though, you know that second, third, and fourth shot belong to British Columbia. Skylar Ackerman. Oh, the signal from the Brushers is heavy. They do have to sweep to keep line. Sweepers are right off now. It's not heavy, it's a bit light. It does mostly cross the center line. It should serve as a good guard, but it is not foolproof. There still, I think, is a raise possibility. Just jostle that stone at the top of the pile on the forefoot into the rest and get that Saskatchewan shot stone off. And if there's anyone today you want to have try to make a curling shot, it's Jalen Cotter. She did it in 2, she did it in 4. Here's her first in 6. No little wait. McGilvery is on it. McGilvery is on it. They're by the top guard. Will they curl enough? No. Slides through the house. Saskatchewan still sitting shot stone. A rare miss from Jalen Cotter. She has kept BC in this game throughout. That's as much a compliment to her play as it is to the play of this Saskatchewan team led by Skylar Ackerman, about to deliver her final stone of 6. Cotter will have it all to do on her last stone. Ackerman trying to put this top of the 12-foot. Try to block a path to shot stone. Her last shot in 6. Sweepers just staring at it. Even if it's not in the house, it'll over curl. It may still provide a blocker, especially since we saw how little Cotter's first stone curled. Cotter is not about to try her first shot again. As I said, she saw how little it curled. She is trying a run back of a Saskatchewan rock into the pile. If she makes this, she could score as many as 3, make it a 1-point game. Caitlin McGilvery, Cassidy Swayze, ready with the sweep. Kayla Bushy holding the broom. This is the final rock in end number 6. Played with a lot of weight. McGilvery sweeping and off. Sweeping again. And off. Hit. No. They can't get the run back. It is 1 for Saskatchewan. And the team from Moose Jaw now has an 8-3 lead through 6 ends. You're watching the 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships live from St. Andrews, New Brunswick on Bellline TV1. Again, we go around the horn. The elimination game on sheet B. Northern Ontario picked up a point with the hammer in the 7th end. They're still behind Alberta 6-3, playing the 8th. They are playing a very quick game indeed. It is a qualifying game over on sheet D. And Ontario has gotten one back with the hammer in 6. They still trail Erica Clough from New Brunswick 4-2. They are well into the 7th end. And it looks like they have just started the 8th end on sheet E. That is another elimination game. It appears like they a blank 7th end by Quebec, and they took just 1 point in the 7th, which means coming into the 8th end, Nova Scotia has a 6-3 lead in a winner survives contest. Both those teams with 1 loss already in championship play. 2 is too many. Somebody's going to get their first loss on sheet C in the championship pool. And right now it looks like Saskatchewan won't be that team. They're up to an 8-3 lead on British Columbia, having thrown their first rock through the house to begin end number 7. Now we're going to see a skill shot here, hopefully, from Samantha McLaren. The call is the tick shot. The free guard zone is still in effect, so this can't leave play, and you see Cotter coming out to sweep her own. And they'll hit it too thick. The guard leaves play, so it's replaced. And the stone last shot is taken out instead. This could very well be the final Curling Canada event, by the way, where they still have the 4-rock rule. Proposals are underway at the World Curling Federation level to make the 5-rock rule, as used in the Grand Slam professional events, the official free guard zone starting from next season. The change has been recommended by the WCF board. It will go to a full vote in September. And if so, it's widely expected Curling Canada will follow suit in time for the mixed championships and the Travelers Curling Club championships in November. Corner guard there by British Columbia. With the 4th rock at the end, Saskatchewan will start getting rid of some rocks. First stone for Chantal Hogue. Sweepers coming off. It's too thick. Gets rid of the BC guard, but leaves one of her own. It'll give something for BC to hide behind. Caitlin McGilvray in the hack. BC rink from the Vernon Curling Club, in the lower mainland of British Columbia. Good sweep, trying to sneak it behind the guards first of all. But will just wick off the Saskatchewan stone in front. Poor result for British Columbia. Saskatchewan looking at the double peel. Second stone from Chantal Hogue. They'll get the one, they'll get the other. The shooter rolls center, but means one less guard overall. And on the whole, the guard that's disappeared is a British Columbia guard. This BC rink, they had the mother of all comebacks, down 7 after 2, down 6 after 4, and still came back to win in an extra end. This draw, after 6, they're down 5. Call is for a cool draw. Caitlin McGilvray. Kayla Bushy, Cassidy Schweitze on the sweep. This one appears to be too light by half. Another casualty in front of the house. And another peel opportunity for Saskatchewan. This time out of the hand of Madison Johnson. Saskatchewan mate. Her first stone in 7. Don't want nose. Will get the peel out. And the stones are continuing to run out for British Columbia. This is another draw attempt. Kayla Bushy in the hack here. Her first stone. Good sweep needed from McGillivray and Schweitze. A really good sweep here. The rock is starting to dive and die. Get it by, first step. Get it tee. Oh, how sweet it is. BC get a rock in the forefoot. And Saskatchewan is going to continue to play peelers. Madison Johnson second. Again, just make one of those rocks up front go away. And she does. The duck calls come out again. A great tradition of provincial support here at these Canadian Curling Championships, whether it's the under-18s and juniors, all the way up to the mixed, and of course the Brier and the Scotties. Second stone now for Kayla Bushy. Again, trying to get something in the house. You don't have to get 5 points all at once, but you do have to get a few here in this end if you're British Columbia. This is coming in nicely. A matching beautiful draw. The only issue is the shooter has rolled out into the open. Not to mention their Saskatchewan sees a pocket there that they're going to try to punch a hole in. Skylar Ackerman, she has called a fantastic game for this Saskatchewan rink. Trying to lead them into the semifinals. Just a hit. Just make some granite disappear is what they ask. Our first rock with the hammer in 7. Good sweeping, they get by the guards, and they find the pocket. Beautiful double takeout from Skylar Ackerman. Saskatchewan sitting 1. My mistake, it is BC with the hammer. And thank goodness this is the last game of the evening. The curling has been on here in St. Andrews since 9 a.m. Atlantic Daylight Time. That's a little more than 12 hours ago. We started on the sheet with the boys' game. We end with the girls. Sweep by McGillivray. They'll pick off the rock in the house, but they'll roll out into the open. Skylar Ackerman will call for herself a simple hit. Sticking around would be a bonus at this point. Just a hit will do. Her second stone, second skip stone for Saskatchewan in end number 7. Sweepers are on it, Hogan, McLaren. Sweepers are on it hard. Need to keep the line, girls. Sweepers coming off. They like it. They like it a lot. Saskatchewan are sitting 1. And that roar you hear are not the Saskatchewaners. They're the Nova Scotians and their Southwesters cheering because the Nova Scotia girls have just run Quebec out of rocks. Nova Scotia defeats Quebec 6-4 on sheet E. We will be seeing that Nova Scotia rinked in our feature game tomorrow morning. This is a hit from Cotter with the final stone in 7 in our feature game. Hit for 1. Gotta stick around. They get the hit, and they will stick around. And it's handshakes on sheet C. Saskatchewan has done more than enough. 8-4 winners over British Columbia. The green and yellow of Saskatchewan find their way to the semifinals in the women's draw of the 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships. And we had another game wrap up as final. In the final end, Northern Ontario was able to get a steal of 2. Sadly, they needed 3. Alberta defeats Northern Ontario 6-5. The win means Alberta survives in the event. Northern Ontario is out. We pay tribute to the 2 teams eliminated in this evening's draw. Team Northern Ontario, the rink from the Idlewild Golf and Curling Club in Sudbury, Ontario. Skip Bella Crozier, mate Jamie Smith, second Lauren Rahala, lead Piper Crozier, and coach Sean Crozier. Congratulations on a great week to them, and everybody here in this championship draw is a champion, at least of their province or territory. And congratulations and commiserations again to Team Quebec, who we saw earlier today, who, as we mentioned a little earlier, ran out of rocks against Nova Scotia. The Quebec girls from the Kenagami Curling Club in Jonquière, Quebec, the Saguenay region near Chicoutimi. Skip and Catherine Perron, mate Alexia Perron, second Chloe Monger, lead Denise Pruneau, their alternate Claudia Racine, and coach Pascal Damazi. Congratulations to them on a great event. There is one game still in progress. I don't know if we're going to see it to its conclusion, but we will give you an update on it. Ontario was able to get a steal of 1 in the 7th end. New Brunswick is still ahead 4-3, and they do have the hammer coming home. They are just moving on sheet D to mate stones. It is a qualifying game between New Brunswick and Ontario. The winner advances to tomorrow afternoon's semifinals. We'll give you a look. We'll give you word of the girls' draw, and you may just have to take our word for it. The winner of our feature game, Saskatchewan, is already in the semifinals. The loser, British Columbia, will be playing tomorrow. They'll be playing New Brunswick. I think I have that right. British Columbia, no, I'm sorry, British Columbia will be playing Alberta. New Brunswick will be playing the loser. Sorry, New Brunswick is in play. Okay, deep breath, start again. Saskatchewan's in the semifinals. BC will be playing Alberta tomorrow. Nova Scotia will be playing the loser of the Ontario-New Brunswick game, and that will be our feature game tomorrow morning. And I'll just do a quick recap on the boys' side, because this bracket is set for tomorrow. New Brunswick will be playing Newfoundland and Labrador tomorrow morning, with the winner playing Nova Scotia in a semifinal. In the other game tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., Manitoba will be playing the defending champions from Northern Ontario. The winner of that contest will play Alberta in the other semifinal. If that's clear as mud, well, so is the tea I drank. I'm just taking a look. We're coming up on the final rock of regulation play on sheet D. You can see it just on the corner of your monitor. Ontario is sitting 1. This is their final stone. New Brunswick will have one after this. It looks to me they're trying to guard their shot stone and try to force an extra. Sadly, we will not be sticking around for the extra. New Brunswick will have a final rock after this. It is Ontario skip Madeline Warner from the Liz Toll Curling Club in southwestern Ontario delivering this shot, and it may not be a guard. It's coming in very sharply. No, it's a guard. They're looking at blocking off the path. That settles in quite nicely. Ontario continues to sit there 1. Erica Clough, New Brunswick skip from the Woodstock Golf and Country Club in western New Brunswick, indicating where she wants her broom. She's trying a raised takeout. And from my angle, it looks like New Brunswick is sitting second shot. So if this takeout is made as called, New Brunswick will get at least 1 point and the win. Final stone for New Brunswick, up 1, hitting against 1. Sweepers are right off. Will they get the angle? No. Blows by. No, it's 2 Ontario stones. 2 Ontario counters. They shake hands, and Ontario steals 2 and the win, 5-3. What that means is that Ontario tomorrow will be playing Nova Scotia, will be playing in the semifinals. New Brunswick will be playing Nova Scotia in a last chance qualifier. We hope you can join us 9 a.m. Atlantic time tomorrow for our feature game, which will be New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, an Atlantic battle in St. Andrews tomorrow morning. I'm Sean Thompson. Thank you very much for watching Bell Line TV1 this evening. You've been watching the 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships. Good night from St. Andrews, and see you bright and early tomorrow morning.